The Masters 8 tournament, a competition between the 8 strongest trainers in the Pokemon anime. But how did it end up? Today, we're going to cover all 7 battles, give them a rating out of 10, and by the end of the video, we'll discuss how good or bad the Masters 8 tournament really was. Starting off, let's talk about Leon vs Alan, and honestly, this was a good idea with bad execution. Hot take, but Leon defeating Alan was a great way to start off the tournament. It really did show how far ahead he was of even Ash's biggest rivals, even if they've defeated 10 Mega Evolved Pokemon in a row. It was really awesome to see that Alan had trained up a Chestnut, as a nod to his travelling partner Marin, as she had a Chespin back in X and Y. Unfortunately, there were more problems than positives with this battle though. It generally felt quite rushed. Like, the longest battle wasn't even the Charizard face-off we were expecting. The longest battle ended up being Chestnut versus a G-Max Rillaboom. It just felt really out of place. Also, you'd think Alan would bring his Tyranitar against a guy infamous for his brutally strong Charizard. Like, don't get me wrong, I might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but surely a singular Pebble would do more damage than his Malamar ever could. Maybe I'm missing something though, who knows. Going back to the Charizard face-off, I was really hoping we'd see a Mega Charizard X versus Mega Charizard Y battle, similar to the Kalos League. I promise I'm not a Charizard fanboy, okay? This is just what felt right. I feel like this would prove Leon's unpredictability and show he can beat people at their own game. They did something similar in a much better way in the Ash vs Cynthia battle, but I'll get onto that later. For the first battle, I'm gonna have to give it a very low 2 out of 10. They definitely could have started the tournament much better in my opinion. The second round was Lance vs Diantha, and similar to Alan vs Leon, this battle was mostly a disaster. I promise this tournament isn't all bad, okay? Just let me cook a bit longer. It just felt like a mismatch from the very start. Like, you can immediately tell that Diantha has a huge advantage going into this battle. The fighting itself was super underwhelming as well, as for some reason both sides forgot how to dodge attacks. Lance got done especially dirty in this battle though. Like, they mentioned how he'd been training in Galar to get better at Dynamax battles, right? So why did he proceed to try and stall out the battle instead of showing any skills he learned? Like, sorry Lance, not even I'm that stupid. On the more positive side, Diantha executed her strategies incredibly well. Using Light Screen and Reflect was basic but definitely did the job, and her use of Trick or Treat was excellent. That's what won her the battle. Although this battle wasn't great, I do appreciate the positive attention they gave Diantha, as she really deserves it. So I'll rank this a 3 out of 10. From disasters to finally a massive success, let's talk about Iris vs Cynthia. Before rewatching this, I genuinely forgot how well executed it was. From Excadrill KOing Gastrodon with Horn Drill, to Cynthia's Milotic being an absolute beast. Then the jump scare of Cynthia Mega Evolving her Garchomp was amazing. This battle was crazy from start to finish, and although she lost in the end, this made me respect Iris a lot more, as during Black and White she was hella mid, I'm not gonna lie. She had a massive glow up during Pokemon Journeys, to be fair. You can't help but respect it really. However, there is one problem I do have with this battle, and that's the unfortunate sacrifice that Iris' Dragonite had to make. This really sucks because during Black and White, this thing was an absolute machine, but Pokemon Journeys made the former beasts a fall from grace. As that was the only real downfall for me, this was by a landslide the best battle of the tournament so far, 9 out of 10. Ultimately for the quarterfinals we had Ash vs Steven, and I think it was actually really good for the most part. Ash had some amazing strategies during this battle, like using Will-O-Wisp against Aggron, and fighting Light against Cradily. My favourite though is how Pikachu dealt with Cradily. The sequence of attacks it used were just perfect. Seeing the Z move come out is always hype, although it does feel like a get out of jail free card at times. Before the Z move, it seemed like Ash and Pikachu had zero chance, and then they won with 2 attacks. It just felt so inconsistent. However, as much as I wish it felt a bit more even before the Z move, man did watching the end of this battle feel so cool, so I'd give this a solid 8 out of 10. As for my final thoughts on the quarterfinals, I'd probably rate them about a 5 out of 10 overall, as there were some really incredible moments and some really questionable ones. Let me know how you found the quarterfinals in the comments. And with that done, let's move on to the semi-finals. The semi-finals are where things really start to get serious in the tournament. Well, sort of. We didn't really see much of Leon vs Diantha, but from what we did see, man, they made Leon look like a monster during this battle. Like, his Rillaboom alone soloed half her team. Luckily that pest finally goes down to her Gardevoir and the final battle commences. And this might be a hot take, but man, I love this 1v1. Diantha using Psychic to control G-Max Wildfire and Max Airstream was absolute genius, and they made it look so cool. I do wish the next attack didn't just blast right through it like it wasn't even there though. Like, come on, at least allow her to survive its G-Max turns. Also, the cheek of Leon to say, I got lucky this time, bro, the disrespect is real and I love it. From what we saw of the battle, battle, I genuinely give this an 8 out of 10. I just wish we saw more of it, that's all. This allows us to move on to possibly the most anticipated battle in the entire anime, Ash vs Cynthia. This 3-parter was absolutely incredible, so let's dive in. You could really tell the vast amount of experience Cynthia had. Each and every one of her Pokemon was trained to fit its strengths perfectly. Her Spiritomb was an absolute menace during this battle, taking out Dragonite and Gengar with not much trouble, and then Pikachu later on. Cynthia's experience showed by taking out Pikachu early, keeping the momentum on her side at basically all times. Moving on to Ash, let's quickly mention Pikachu in this battle, cause god damn he was a machine, taking out Gastrodon and Spiritomb in quick succession. If Cynthia hadn't called for Destiny Bond, I genuinely believe Pikachu could have taken out another Pokemon on its own. Then again, Togekiss did kinda slap him up a bit, so who knows honestly. Seeing Dracovish decide, this bitch is going down no matter what after getting poisoned, I remember watching it live and I could feel the passion myself. And where do I start with Sarthrax? First of all, he broke Stealth Rocks, KO'd Milotic, and still managed to deal incredible damage to Cynthia's Garchomp. If it wasn't for Sirfetch'd, I don't think this battle was winnable, so put some respect on my duck's name, bro. Now let's talk about the controversial Dynamax Togekiss, and man, this was a really pleasant surprise for me. Of course a Mega Evolution showdown would have been fantastic, but I think this was really good just for the shock factor alone. The Dynamax versus Mega Evolution was really back and forth, and honestly I loved it. Togekiss was so unbelievably bulky, and not gonna lie, it felt kind of excessive. Like, go away bro, you should have died like 3 times already. Something that was great to see was Ash and Lucario linking up with Greninja during the G-Max Aura Sphere. But I've got a question for anyone watching. Is this technically an illegal move, as he's used a 7th Pokemon to power up the attack? I'm unsure on this personally, but it's definitely up for debate. How did you guys feel about this? Going back to the battle, let's talk about Lucario versus Garchomp, and how intense this final battle was. The final attacks left viewers speechless. You didn't know who had won when they both fell to the ground. I did find it really funny how Lucario got up like nothing happened. It felt weirdly casual for a Pokemon that's just defeated Cynthia's Garchomp, you know? Overall, a fantastic battle. There were so many twists I wasn't expecting. 9.5 out of 10. So how were the semi-finals? Both battles were really entertaining, and although I have a few issues here and there, none of them were overwhelming, so I'd give the semi-finals an 8.5 out of 10. As you can imagine, the final thing to talk about today is the finale, so let's talk about the best battle to ever grace the Anipoke space. Just a heads up, I'm gonna have to divide this up between episodes because this battle was so long. The first episode started off excellently. I love that Leon was so confident in himself that he allowed Ash to use all 3 gimmicks. It definitely spiced up the battle a lot, that's for sure. Seeing a Libero Cinderace was a really big surprise, and it set the standard of Leon's strength very quickly. And wow, Inteleon vs Gengar was awesome. There was so much to take in. Seeing Leon yoink Ash's counter shield idea to use it against Gengar was very smart. It really showed that Leon had an unpredictable side as well as Ash. Also, this Inteleon could dual wield? This might be the coolest Inteleon of all time. One thing I especially love about this battle is that Ash got the first KO, as in his previous matches he'd always lost a Pokemon first. And although Gengar went down soon after, it just felt like such a breath of fresh air to me. Following on from the previous episode, we started off with Mr. Rime absolutely running the show, adding to the intensity even more. They somehow made him look scary despite him being a man dancing. Then again, he does kind of look like a pedo. Ash did struggle with it quite a lot, but he also fought back with many clever strategies, like destroying the psychic terrain with Fury Cutter, or using Lucario's aura capabilities to dodge and land the final blow. Also, can we talk about Dracovish doing whatever the hell this is? We just got zero explanation except a guess from Cynthia. I really wish we got to learn what this actually was, instead of it just being brushed to the side like it was normal. Thanks guys. Seeing Lucario go down this episode was kind of funny considering he made such a big entrance. At least he did some good damage on Dragapult before he went down. Speaking of Dragapult, seeing Dragonite finally get the win she deserved using Dragonite Draco Meteor was such a special moment to me. Good job, Dragonite. Weirdly enough, episode 3 didn't have much going on. Rillaboom was an absolute beast, but there's no real surprise there. He dealt with Dragonite and Sirfetch'd so easily. It did actually bait us pretty hard when it got hit by Meteor Assault, as it looked like it got KO'd, but it just decided otherwise, you know? However, my goat Dracovish came through and finished the job by giving it a Brain Freeze and then hitting it with Dragon Rush to seal the deal. Skipping forward a little bit, let's talk about Pikachu versus Charizard, because wow, this was a close call. Ash's Pikachu landed as I like to call an iron fail, as even though Pikachu hit him square in the head, bro did not care at all. To be fair, I feel like there's only so much this small little mouse can do against a Gigantamax Pokemon, with physical attacks anyway. And just before the end of the episode, we had the G-Max Wildfire versus 10 million volt Thunderbolt. And man, I have so many thoughts about this one collision. First of all, man, this was a stunning display. The visuals were just perfect. And second of all, this genuinely looked like it just broke reality, considering all the Dynamax particles just scattered everywhere. It's not really surprising, it's just kinda mental really. So here we have it, the infamous final episode of the Masters 8 tournament, and what a way to end it. At the start, we quickly see Eternatus fix up the area and grant Ash and Leon one more use of Gigantamax. This is where we see what I like to call Battle of the Cuties, because look how adorable these guys are, they're so cute. This battle was one attack, but we finally see Cinderace get hit, and it goes down? Man, this guy was a glass cannon. And now for the ultimate finale, Ash and Pikachu versus Leon and Charizard. And oh my, everything about this 1v1 was just so good. Seeing all of Ash's Pokemon cheer on Pikachu after he got hit with that Fire Blast gave me goosebumps. And man, the cameos in this battle were just amazing throughout. One thing I especially appreciate about the final attacks is that we don't see who wins right away, as it briefly cuts to the aftermath of the battle. I genuinely can't express how intense this felt watching it live. I couldn't tell if he'd won, lost, or somehow drawn. The only way I can describe this is that it was an emotional roller coaster, that's for damn sure. Seeing the final attacks just made me think, this stupid ass flying lizard took on an electric attack head on. What did he expect to happen really? No surprise here, but this battle is a 10 out of 10. There's absolutely no explanation needed. So, how was the Masters 8 tournament? It truly was special. And besides some parts being a bit off early on, it led to some of the greatest battles in the entire anime, and I'm eternally thankful for the thought and love that was put into making this happen. If I had to give a final rating on this tournament, I'd say an 8 out of 10 is a very respectable score. Thanks for watching this breakdown of the Masters 8 tournament, and I'll catch you guys in a bit. Bye bye.